Hello and welcome to the Magic Mirror Podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Khan the Trinket Mage, and with me is my co-host, 33 Elk.
Hello.
Additionally, we have our other co-host, Salubrious Snail.
Hello, hello.
And special guest, Forrest Emel.
Hello. Long-time listener, first-time joiner. Thank you for having me.
Now, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy guy. Do you want to just give like a little intro on like who are you? What are you doing here?
Sure. I'm, I don't know, ex-magic artist turned YouTuber turned t-shirt salesman. And I help co-host Distraction Makers on YouTube. So that's kind of how I'm still known, I guess, in the magic space.
Yeah, Void Monster.
I was going to say, I think you've sponsored all of our channels.
Yes, that's true. Yes, I've worked with a lot of content creators, including all of you guys for Void Monster as well. So yeah.
I wanted to hop right in, actually, Forrest, and ask you a little bit about Magic the Gathering art. I got a really
before you do that, we have to thank today's sponsor.
I forgot. I'm a genius.
Not Void Monster, though, but Card Castle, the easy way to sort your collection digitally. You can start scanning and sorting your cards today by clicking our link below and signing up for free. Plus, you get 1 free month of premium access. And if you want to scan your cards even faster, check out their card sorting robot, CardBot. There's a link to that below as well if you want to see if your local game store has one that you can use.
Card sorting robot.
Yeah, it's like this big machine. It's mostly for game stores. But it's like a big machine and you just shove in like 1,000 cards and it can put them into different piles. You can like sort it. You can put in a bunch of things basically. And you can be like, I wanted to check TCG player and put all the ones that are $5 or more in this pile and everything that's less than $5 in this pile. And it'll like do that for you.
I'm so mad. I just got done sorting like my entire collection, and it's like a lot of cards. It's like 12,000 cards, almost 13,000 cards.
I think it does like 1,000 cards in an hour.
It's a lot of hours.
Oh my god, that's so brutal.
Yeah, so that would be a lot. But it's like if your local game store has one, you can go there, log into your Card Castle account, and then it'll scan cards and sort them into your digital collection for you.
Well, I wish I had heard this ad read before doing all the work that I did.
Well, this guy, longtime listener, but skips the sponsor, doesn't he?
Oh, no.
As I was saying, I have questions about art.
Sure.
I got a really funny comment on the artist video that you were in. I did an art game show with Forrest as one of the contestants, and one of the comments was, I had no idea Forrest did art. I just knew him from Distraction Makers. You did the Mobilize token from Dragonstorm, also known for Seedborn Muse, Dockside Extortionist, Hex Drinker. Those are like, I think, your headliners.
Yeah, and more recently Spider-Punk, but it sounds like the Spider-Man set was kind of whatever, so I don't think people think about that one as much.
The art for Spider-Punk is pretty sweet, though. Like, it's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I was actually super excited to work on that. The other one, I kind of whatever. I now know who Kane is in Spider-Man lore, but I didn't know who that character was, so I had to learn all about it. But I knew who Spider-Punk was, so I was super psyched to get that brief. Yeah.
I'm sure working on Spider-Punk was slightly traumatic, of course, having to draw someone from the UK.
That was pretty scary, but, I got through it. It's fine. I just had some soothing music and stuff, and, the hours just kind of melted away.
I'm sure a lot of people are curious and maybe don't even know. What's it like getting the starting brief for an art piece and then all the way to finishing? Like, what's that process look like?
I think when you first get a magic brief, like when I first got my first one, it was incredible. And then it slowly becomes very unglamorous as you realize that it's just like every other art job. And so I've sent an email usually a week or two in advance from one of the ADs asking if I'm available and how many cards I'd be willing to take on. And then, when the art wave starts, waves usually last 6 weeks. I think technically can go to 8, but I think 6 is usually the timeline they try to get cards done by. And they just send a brief with like, they've got like an art ID so that in their system they can know like how to pull it up. They tell me the color. They don't say the rarity, but they usually say like creature type or any other important details like card type, like if it's a sorcery or an instant, if it's a legendary card, whatever. And then a short, brief description of what they want. And then if relevant, they'll attach like a world guide or any sort of relevant like references that maybe they were thinking about this specific image.
How short is that description? Is it like 1-2 sentences or?
Yeah, usually. It's usually pretty short. Maybe the longest one I had was like up to 4 sentences or something. And I don't know if it's like a good or a bad thing, but basically starting at like Outlaws of Thunder Junction, I didn't deliberately go against the briefs, but I kind of like started thinking a little bit more about what they maybe wanted to see out of the card and like what I thought could be cool. And so I would like pitch cards that I knew went against the briefs, but what I thought was maybe depicting the story of that card better if I'm like imagining what the card is trying to be without knowing any of the details of the mechanics. And I would just start like showing them that and being like, is this cool? And almost every single time they were like, yeah, that's cool. Do that.
So like Pillage the Bog, for example, I feel like that art tells a story in some capacity.
Yeah, Pillage the Bog was definitely much different from a brief. I think it was that they wanted the whatever the black colored creatures were, the like I want to say cowboys, but they're all cowboys. The like hell cowboys.
The Outlaws.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever. The Hellspur Posse or something stupid. I forgot what their name.
I think Hellspur.
There are named groups in Outlaws Thunder Junction.
I don't know. I pulled that one out of my ass.
They are. Actually, the world guide for Outlaws was really, really cool and was getting me super excited. And then I felt like we didn't really get a good sense of the world because I think it was so mixed with that whole like train robbery like story as well. But yeah.
My big theory for why Thunder Junction sucked so bad was because it was Magic's like 100th set or something. So it had to be recall slop. Like, do you remember this? And that's why it was full of legendaries that no one like that from like Commander Legends and shit is because it was Magic's 100th set.
I didn't know about that. I didn't know that. I don't know if they're doing the anniversary stuff. I just figured like, oh, they're just trying to have iconic characters because the Planeswalkers didn't hit the same that they were hoping.
I was wondering why that set was so packed with, random legends and not new characters, but I guess that could be a reason.
It just goes to show that like member berries like that are so like stupid if you don't have a reason for it. Like everybody was just like, yeah, I remember Rakdos, but like, what is he doing here? Doesn't he have a circus to run?
Well, he's the muscle.
Rakdos made me so mad because I love Rakdos, and like I feel bad because I love the artist is Victor Mori that did Rakdos for Outlaws, but I'm just like, I don't want to see Rakdos as a cowboy. Like I think Rakdos is super cool, but you dress him up like a cowboy and he's now not cool at all to me. So I was pretty bummed about that.
They could have just named it anything else and like nobody would have complained, right? It could have been like Jimbo the Muscle, and it's like
if they named it,
I would prefer Jimbo.
Jimbo would have been great,
hilarious.
actually. Yeah, Jimbo would have sold cards. That's a
you got a flame on your hands there.
Unironically, if it was just a demon with a comically small cowboy hat for his like big demon body, and he's called Jimbo the Muscle, it'd be like the most popular commander.
You're right. But it had to be Rakdos.
I wish we gotten more lore about like the size and style of the hat. Like there might have been some lore there. I don't know, but it felt like it was just kind of tacked on there for aesthetics more than anything.
Well, they're in the West, so he had to dress like a cowboy, obviously.
Yeah, you don't want to get sunburned.
Another thing about doing Magic art, of course, for us is you have this description and stuff, but don't they typically also give you like mood, like powerful or something like that, like just some sort of like keywords that you have to kind of play off of?
Yeah, it'll usually be pretty short. They usually only use like one word descriptions for the mood or the theme or whatever. And so that's why when I started moving away a little bit from like what the briefs were, I was focused a little bit more on the mood or theme as well as the color association. And so, so with Pillage the Bog, so the original brief for that was they wanted one of the Hellspur like mercenaries to be like coming out of a bog, like out from behind like a tree or something like that, out of a swamp. And I saw that it was a green-black card. It wasn't called Pillage the Bog. It was called like, I don't know. It was clear that they were trying to say that something was coming back from like the dead. And so I was like, oh, okay, I know Magic mechanics, green, black, like graveyard, recursion or whatever. Like that's probably it. And so I pitched the image because I just really like flat compositions, and I thought the storytelling of that was cool and telling that. And they were all totally down for that. And it seems like it fit the mood really, really well. And then the card came out and it didn't have any sort of graveyard recursion. So
anything.
Yeah, so
right,
I was
look at the top X cards in your library.
Yeah, it's like consult the star charts or stock up.
The bog is your library,
yeah,
yeah.
Can you define? I guess it looks kind of because it's not a graveyard card. Can you define flat composition? I know you said that.
Sure, it's just like not a lot of depth. So like you're seeing, in Pillage the Bog, you really see like the both figures just completely from the side and like an orthographic sort of a shot. Funny because I had to learn so much about how to draw depth so that I could work on like League of Legends and other IPs like that, because they care a lot about artists being able to illustrate in proper perspective, and especially characters in proper perspective.
Right.
But as I was starting to kind of like do my own thing again, I realized like I really don't actually like that look too much. And so pretty much, I want to say most of the cards that I came out with after I started working on Outlaws all had pretty flat compositions. There's not a lot of like characters like reaching out towards you or doing anything like that, which is pretty like standard as far as like a skill set or something that seems like standard in commercial art nowadays. But I just didn't want my stuff to end up looking or feeling more commercial art. I wanted it to like stand on its own as an image, as opposed to it just being like associated to a Magic card.
Do you feel yourself like bouncing between different skill sets as you go to different games? Like more three-dimensional or more kind of focused on a character?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it not only like task wise, but if it's just illustrations that I'm working on for like different clients. Yeah, when I would go and do like League splash art, I mean, I got to be really on top of the perspective. All the drawing has to be really top notch. Everything has to be kind of like clean and figured out so that I could send it to them. There's way more feedback, tons of back and forth, and Magic cards, like, they're super open to me being able to do whatever I want. So basically, once the sketch is approved, I don't have to show them an update until it's done. And they might have follow-up feedback afterwards, but usually if they do, it's like pretty minor. But that being said, even when I was working on League, I'd still pitch flat compositions of like characters because I just like that look. I think it looks really cool. So I don't know, it's something that I just lean towards.
I mean, it makes characters pop, right? If the background is kind of, if the character is sort of flat facing the card, the front of the card in that way.
Yeah, I think when you have something that is existing in 3D space, it's really like technically impressive. So it makes a lot of people be like, wow, this looks like really, really cool. This looks really realistic, whatever. But it starts to like sell too much that this is almost like a photo or something. It's like a snapshot of this scene happening, as opposed to allowing you to, I guess, reach this point of like escapism when viewing an image, and allow you to view things more in like an abstract sense. And so one card I did for Edge of Eternities, I felt like did that pretty effectively. I think it's called Watchful Mentor. I don't remember.
Honored Knight Captain.
Yeah.
Oh, what is it?
Honored Knight Captain, right?
Honored Knight Captain. Sorry, Watchful Mentor was what the code name was for it then. Yeah, Honored Knight Captain. Like that one, I felt like I decided to go even more like graphic with it. So like the design of it, he had this like cloak, and I was like, well, I'll just not do a cloak. I'll just do this like flowing gold behind him that I think fit well with like the composition. But it was all trying to like have this story of, because it was originally called Watchful Mentor. But the idea of like this guy passing on the knowledge and lineage of what this faction does to a mentee in the background and stuff. So like behind him is the full symbol of that faction, but like she doesn't have that symbol yet to show like she hasn't become like an honorary member yet and stuff like that. She doesn't have a cloak. Just like little things like that I feel like I can tell more effectively without having to make it all fit within 3D space or something, right? Because suddenly if it's in 3D space, I have to do all these other things to make it feel like it feels correct.
Not to get too nerdy or anything, this composition feels a lot more like Gustav Klimt, you know, like he works in gold and stuff. And like it's like the flat graphical background with the more three-dimensional like realism characters.
Yeah, I really like that look. I think that's kind of what I started gravitating towards before I stopped working for Magic. So I'm bummed because it was my like outlet to work in that sort of a style. But yeah.
Well, great. That was an awesome talk. But we're not just here to talk about Magic the Gathering art. We're here to talk about the game itself. And that's mostly through Commander. Trink, do you want to introduce the next topic we kind of have lined up here?
Yes. So we want to talk about sort of the ideas and opinions that players have and how they sometimes can clash, which is, I don't want to say like a problem, but it is something that can be a negative experience in Commander. Commander, especially because there isn't a unifying goal of winning in the same way that competitive formats work.
I think at its core, not only is it not a problem, but the existence of this so-called problem shows us something really cool about Commander, which is its flexibility. Because I think what we're going to talk about is that different players are coming to the format for different reasons. Mm-hmm. And that can include players who enjoyed other formats, whether that be limited or constructed or more casual or more competitive or other games entirely. And so I think it's this kind of thing where we have a really cool thing that is also tied to somewhat of a tension within EDH.
I was just gonna say, I think it's cool that people come to the format with different goals in mind and stuff, but they also got to be like not whining when I win. So it's really nice of them though to come for these other purposes.
Yeah, I'm trying to go on my redemption arc right now, but that is definitely the main thing I was thinking when this topic came up.
Let's give a few definitions about the traditional archetypes of players. I think they're a good jumping off point or things to reference. So if people haven't heard about this, there are 3 types of players: Timmy, Johnny, and Spike. Timmy plays for fun. Timmy plays their big, goofy creatures, hee hee ha ha. Johnny plays to prove a point. Johnny is the combo player, the tinkerer, the brewer. They play to, do something strange within the game. Spike plays to win. Spike is your tournament grinder. Spike is your, I have to play, the most optimal Magic I can type player. And everyone falls somewhere within this triangle, I guess. And, of course, everybody has different aspects of all these different players. But just throw those out for like definitions.
There are also aesthetic profiles which can overlap with the other two. Those being Vorthos, the kind of flavor player, the person who enjoys art and like a cohesive vision of all the elements of a card coming together. And then there's like a Mel, who is the mechanic player, the person who likes like a really mechanically satisfying card. And so these can also kind of tie into what people might enjoy about playing Magic in some way.
Yes. Yeah, those 3 are not all encompassing, I'll say.
Yeah, I got to say, these are very broad too, because I would generally think all of us to be a Johnny sort of player. And yet we are very differing in terms of a lot of different opinions when it comes to the format, right? So like, even though you might fit into a certain profile, you can still like be incredibly different from someone else who might be in that same profile.
Correct. I feel like most Magic YouTubers are going to be Johnnies.
See, I kind of identify with the Spike mentality. I think mostly from my kind of background in statistics, just because I really like, designing like a deck that is really satisfying in how it works, and which, I've calculated out the odds of everything. I had that kind of arc of, working with my brother to build the mana base tool and figuring out how do you optimize a mana base to the optimal level, because that does tend to be where you can optimize in Commander.
But do you like learning that stuff so that you can win, or do you just like that aspect in general?
I think you're just a nerd.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was going to say that you're a Melvin then at that point, basically, right? Like
I do think I tend to be kind of a Melvin, but I don't think you necessarily need to be doing it to win to be a Spike player. I think a sense of optimization is a really key factor there. And I think within Commander, you kind of, if you're a Spike within the Commander format, you kind of have to give up the idea of winning a little bit at least. You have to find something else that appeals to you, unless you're playing CEDH, or unless you're playing like, as spicy bracket 4 as you can with your most competitive friends.
I think the thing that ends up getting to me is I feel like there's a lot of these like closeted Spike players. It's like people that like don't want to admit that they're a Spike player, but they clearly keep like trying to get their deck to be a little bit better than like other people at the table, where I'm like, all right, like, yeah, you're saying, oh yeah, it's fine, I don't have to win, as you're like sneaking in an Ancient Tomb and sneaking in these other things. It's like, okay, all right. I mean, sure. Not a Spike. It's fine.
I definitely have a spiky streak in me. I've been playing a lot of Pauper recently in the local Denver scene. My friend let me borrow Mono Red Aggro Madness Burn, and it was it changed me.
So sweet.
It did something to me, man. I kept winning, and I was like, damn, this feels good.
It feels good to win, right? I think this is the thing that drives me nuts, is like, I think that so many people end up entering the Commander format from like a precon, right? Which makes sense. Like now it seems like the general pipeline tends to be Universe of Beyond is something that attracts either you or a friend coming to your table. You start at a precon level and then you slowly build up. But like there's so much of this sort of like constant backlash to what's good and what's bad or whatever in the format. And it's really difficult to get a sense of like what actually is good or bad. So people tend to focus on other things, right? They tend to focus on what's fun or what you enjoy. But I think for new players, like if you don't have an understanding of what the total card pool is, right, and you're so used to what other games do and how other games function, like you still want to win in the end, like, right? Like the game in general, you are playing to win usually. Some cases, maybe you're just satisfied to do your thing, but doing your thing is probably what leads you to winning. And so I feel like other players, like when they start experiencing what it actually feels like to start winning or like what that means to win, it feels really good. It's a really like strong feeling. And you feel like you're learning a lot too when you're playing these like hyper optimized decks or something.
I think this is definitely a tension that is at the core of Commander, is this idea that, you know, winning isn't prioritized so much as it would be in a 1v1 format, because that is kind of the set in stone goal. And yet it's still a thing that is enjoyable. And I think in a video a little while back, I analogized to making a character in like a role-playing game like D&D or Pathfinder, because, you know, in theory, you don't have to make a character that is mechanically all that good. That's not required. The DM is kind of tweaking things behind the curtain to, you know, tweak the difficulty, how encounters are happening, etc. But people will still try and build something generally on the stronger side if they can, optimizing, because it feels good to have a thing that is doing good. You know, you don't necessarily want to be just kind of role-playing this goofy random lineup of tools. It feels good to be doing things in the active playing of the game.
I mean, that's also part of, like, I guess what Forrest said, right? Doing your thing leads to the game. So in some sense, like optimizing whatever you're doing your thing is, no matter how goofy your theme is, well, I guess maybe not no matter how goofy, but even a relatively goofy theme is still optimizing to win in some capacity. I guess, you know, there are those like pure chaos or pure group hug that genuinely are not trying to win or whatever, but like beyond those like exceptions.
Yeah, I feel like what's hard for some players to sort of grapple with too, and I think this was like an early learning curve for me when I was starting to build my own decks, is trying to find that goofy fun thing that you want. And like what you said, Snail, I think like it makes sense to want to have like that role play, right? That's something that we've talked about on Distraction Makers, that like it's a positive that Commander in general has this culture that incentivizes play that's not based around optimization, because it allows players to continuously explore for longer periods of time, where what we're seeing in competitive formats like Standard, the goal is just to win. So there isn't really a huge benefit for going and exploring, because once you know what the best decks are, that's the primary incentive that you're chasing in the first place. So there's no need for you to continue like exploring and experimenting. But like early on, I would try and build a deck. I built a Booby Trap deck because I found out about the card Booby Trap, and it's hilarious.
Oh, that's a card. I thought this was something. Okay.
No, it's actually a card.
What does this card do, by the way?
So it's like an artifact. It costs 6, and it says like you target a player. I'm just trying to go off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure this is correct. Target a player, and you say that player reveals cards whenever they like draw a card. And if they reveal a card and you say a card name, just any card name, and if they reveal that card name, they take 10 damage. And so I basically had the idea of turning the entire game into Exploding Kittens. So I would make a bunch of booby traps. I'd target all the players, and I would just name cards that I think were in their decks and make them draw in the hopes that they would draw into it. The problem is that the most effective way of doing that, because it's a very inefficient way of winning, the most effective way was basically playing borderline CEDH Orvar and duplicating all of the booby traps that way. And so what ended up happening is I actually would like trip and stumble into infinite combos easier than I would actually do the booby trap plan. And so sometimes, like, even if you have the intention of this one goal that's kind of silly, sometimes it's just like it doesn't work out that way. Like it doesn't actually pan out the way that you're hoping it does. And I don't know. It's just, I feel like this is something that some players end up not quite understanding, that their overall goals with this deck or with their silly goal in mind it's not as satisfying to the players at the table, or even maybe to yourself, when it's actually done in the end.
This card is so awesome, the new Mr. Fantastic, because he lets you double the triggered ability of a card that you control. Oh, later editing trinket here. I realize now that Booby Trap doesn't work with Mr. Fantastic that way because you have to sacrifice the artifact. It says if you sacrifice it, then you get to do the damage. So copying that trigger with Mr. Fantastic doesn't actually do anything because uh, it's already been sacrificed once. So you can't actually do that to deal 30 damage, which is annoying. None of us realized that in the recording, so we didn't correct ourselves there. Oopsies. Here's my correction. So you can double the trigger to name 2 more cards.
Dude, only Trinket
yeah.
can see a dog shit 6-mana artifact and be like, oh, here's how you make it slightly less bad. It's
You could double the damage trigger. That's 30 damage.
I love that. I was like, this is how you do it. You play Orvar and you duplicate and make 80 of them. And you're like, but you could double the trigger.
Consider you can't double the ETB
Well, it copies the
because that's an
trigger.
as the centers ability.
Oh, it's an as the centers. True. So you can only because he copies a triggered ability twice. So you could just make it so it does 30 damage to them. Oh, you can put a what's that terrible enchantment? Mechanized production. And then on your upkeep, it triggers to make 2 copies, and you make 3 copies with Mr. Fantastic, and then you make 3 booby traps every turn.
I did that with mechanized production, and this was the first sign that I was like, I don't think this deck is gonna work because I just won with mechanized production.
With mechanized production,
I was like, oh, that's so not satisfying at all.
I think commander decks are a lot of iteration, though, to get back on that topic. I feel like your first draft of commander deck most likely is not going to be strong enough, but sometimes it might be too strong. And it's all about tuning to match your play group, right? And to match like the expectations of commander, how loosely those are established with the bracket system.
Are you telling me my first draft of Mr. Fantastic Booby Trap deck is going to be bad?
Sure, you might want to sit down for this one. But no, like I had this exact experience with Cura the Boundless guy, my land stack. And here's the thing, I wanted it to be bracket 3, like Merit Lage Secret Commander. And it just turns out Merit Lage is like really good. And it's like, so is land combos in general. And I didn't want to breach that part of the deck. So what I did is I just moved it up a bracket to 4, right? I'm now like fringe EDH lands combos with that deck versus how it started, which was like, haha, I'm making Merit Lage and berserking it. It just turns out that's not that fun of a play pattern for 3. It's like, I make Merit Lage on turn 5 and then I kill you. It's like, oh, okay, bummer.
I think that's also an important lesson to take in, is that there are some strategies that just are going to work better at lower or higher power levels than others. If you have this kind of super specific game plan for, some wild combo that is in theory very weak and needs a lot of support, you might be able to boost it up to be a bracket 3 or a bracket 4 even deck, but that might end up feeling really weird. It might feel kind of uneven when you're having to use these super powerful support cards and like cobble together this like crazy engine just to get your super weak thing to pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Like that might feel kind of awkward for the power level, even if, you manage to get it up to where it's winning a quarter of the time at your average bracket 4 table or whatever. It still might feel kind of uncomfortable and awkward and jarring to play. And so I think it's good to
just described how I build like every deck. This is like how my decks are. It's like, oh, I want to build around salvaging station and like grinding for value with baubles. I'm playing Transmute Artifact. It's a very powerful artifact tutor, but I'm using it to get like, Conjurer's Bauble for my engine. I don't know if I agree with it feeling awkward or whatever.
Well, so
like, I play my powerful cards
deck though, right?
That is my bracket 2 deck, yeah.
Yeah. See, you found a low power strategy and you're playing it in lower power games.
But I'm playing powerful cards to support it.
Yeah,
like I have all the best tutors for my crappy cards.
I mean, here's the thing. I really appreciate that Commander is such a giant gray area fueled by opinion that you are able to have a lot of different nuanced takes that like 15 people will disagree on, right? Like I really like that Commander is a casual format, even as I explore other formats a lot right now. Commander is one where like at brackets 2 and 3, just about any strategy can win. If you built like a halfway decent deck that uses the synergy pieces and has like a decent curve, right? Like you can win with incubator tokens, right? Like this is not a crazy thing to do.
Yeah, and if you have card draw and removal, your deck should be fine at bracket 2 and 3.
Yeah, and that's part of what I really appreciate about this format. And I think what really makes a lot of the archetypes kind of shine that we normally wouldn't see in a modern tournament, for instance. Like, you're not getting a lot of Timmies in a modern tournament.
There's like kind of a difference, right? Because technically people that end up playing in something like modern or standard, anything that's like a strictly competitive format, like can still be Timmies, right? Like I think you'd be hard pressed to not think that Brian Kibler is a Timmy, but Brian Kibler is still
true.
like a pro player.
You got me.
But like, I think that's just your preference, right? It's like you're probably willing to play whatever is popular in the meta, but maybe you prefer playing, green and red because you like big stompy things. But I think that, I think like everyone's preferences can exist outside of the format itself, I suppose.
So I do need to ask, guys, what is the archetype of player that like spends like 5,000 on an Dragon deck and then they immediately start crying when you target them with removal? This is a very common archetype at game stores I run into.
Weak-willed. I don't know. Honestly, smart player. They're probably a spike. I think that's a spike move. In Commander, that's a spike move in Commander because they're playing the politics game. They know what's up.
That's true. The pity play.
Yeah, it works well. I'm very familiar with it.
Do people get more offended the more they've spent on their deck? Is there like a relationship there?
I don't want to make assumptions based on my small sample size. But generally speaking, the more money that someone has dropped on it, generally speaking,
it sounds like you know a person that this happened with.
No. I've run into this person like a few different times. I see him in every stranger that does this to me. And listen, I see you, Eladamri, Lord of Leaves player listening. All right. I'm not talking about you. I'm sure you're a blast to play with. However, like typically when someone has like a $3K like bracket 3 deck, I'm like, right, like I wonder how this is going to go. And generally they're pretty salty when you blow up their stuff.
Pretty expensive, to be honest. Like my
exactly.
My unspeakable deck is like quite pricey.
Yeah, here we go. Trinket's proving the rule, or the exception to the rule. Like, listen, like this is not a rule. This is just something I've run into a couple times.
I guess my unspeakable deck is not $3,000, but it's like I don't know. I've collected shiny cards over the years.
I feel like this is definitely the drawback of Commander as a casual format. Is the moment you start like introducing like good play to a game of Magic, it can lead to some salty experiences. Like, why'd you blow my thing up? Well, you can't see my hand, but you need to just, I swear to you, like, I can't have that on the board. It's like this is where like the casual Commander kind of fails, you know?
I mean, this is like my whole entire channel is basically this is like, I get frustrated when players go, I'm going to do this thing and it's going to win the game. And then I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to lose. So here's a board wipe so I don't die to like 500 dragons. And then I feel like going, whoa, hold up. You can't stop me from having fun is like a frustrating part of Magic because it's like, okay, obviously someone has to win at the end of the game. I get it. And if you hit me with 1 billion dragons and I don't have removal, like you got me. That's fine. I have no problem losing the game. My problem is when people put no effort into preventing a loss and then are frustrated when people don't let them win for free.
See, that's why I just don't play board wipes or removal at all.
And
you just go for the combo kill.
That's a strategy.
100%. I stopped putting in board wipes. I stopped putting in all removal. Everything's just value engine. And if people wipe the board, then it's great because I don't have removal cards flooding my hand. Instead, I'm just going to build the board faster than everybody else. So that's fine.
Oh, that's how my Mina and Den deck works. Yeah.
Dude, this is exactly how Alexios won.
Your army of dragons can't stop a fog. So like, just keep fogging. My favorite deck is my fog deck. But this is actually, it's kind of, I was thinking this when you guys were talking about brackets. I feel like it's very difficult to get a sense for like what decks, because I guess on the topic of player archetypes or whatever, I feel like I am like a Timmy at heart, but have grown to become a Melvin with, game design background and interests and stuff. So I make a lot of these kind of like weird decks that are kind of like, pushing certain buttons or like testing the boundaries and stuff of Commander. And like the first one I made that was kind of like that was like what I call Bumblefogger. It's a Bumbleflower fog deck. And
gross. Sorry.
It's like not a turbo fog. I win the game by making everyone draw their entire deck, but like not as a combo. It's just slowly over time, everyone draws their deck.
Oh, it's like actual turbo fog, like Pauper. Like you are milling people out by making them take 1,000,000 years.
But I want them to draw their deck because I want them to have the opportunity to stop me. And then if people can't stop me, that's kind of their fault for not having stuff to stop me in their deck.
All you need is a questing beast, ladies and gentlemen.
But the problem is like, it's so difficult to determine based off of that, like what bracket that goes into. And like explicitly, I don't include game changers. I don't include all this other stuff. I don't put tutors in. Like I do everything to just kind of like bring that power level down if possible and have it be a little bit more non-deterministic. But it still is difficult to gauge because like I've played at, supposedly bracket 4 tables where people are, saying they're playing bracket 4s and I can do well. But because it's so group hug and I let everyone draw a bunch of cards and I'm just susceptible to like so many different, like if someone plays an aristocrat strategy, that deck's terrible. Like someone's pinging me, I can't fog against ping damage like that. Like I don't have enough fogs to stop that. And so like I could play against bracket 1 decks and like probably still lose. So I don't know. Do you guys find that like your decks kind of can cleanly slot into those things?
This is the thing, right? Like a lot of people go, "Ew, gross, your deck has Elish Norn Kudo," right? Like this is something that makes all of your creatures into 0/0s and all of mine plus 4, like 4/4s, right? And I will lose to Miss Bumbleflower. I'll lose to a +1/+1 counters deck because your creatures survive being 0/0s with +1/+1 counters on them.
Yeah.
And then I just get turbo killed by a Miss Bumbleflower carrying like 15 spin downs because she has flying and vigilance. I can't block that. I die. So it's really funny how like I can shut off like artifacts. I can shut off this. I can shut off that. Like I have all these different hate bears that can like, stop all sorts of knobs from turning. But the moment you put a Hydra across from me, I lose the game. It's amazing just like how fragile certain decks can be. I think it was Brian Koval that said this about vintage decks. It was vintage decks are thoroughbred racehorses. They go as fast as possible. They're quick. They're awesome. They win. But the second they roll their ankle, they go and turn into glue. Like you need to send them to the glue factory.
That's how CDH decks are mostly too, to be honest. Outside of like the Thrasios piles. Miss Bumbleflower, I think, here's a hot take for you guys. I think is one of my least favorite commanders. Is so uninteresting.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Let me add, if you play Miss Bumbleflower, I hate you. I'm kidding.
That sounds right.
I just feel like every single time anybody talks about this card, every single time they either go, "Oh, it's group hug," and they built a group hug deck and it's just group hug, or they're like, "It's actually secretly evil," and I'm like, "It's not that secret. Like I can read the card.
Very
I figured it
evil.
out, buddy. Like I know I can read. I have the ability to read the card."
So then is your issue with the design of the card, or is it with the people who play?
It sounds
the
like
card?
you hate the people.
The card has a branching path of 2 in the way that the decks are built. And I think neither of them are particularly interesting, and every deck I see is the same. That's my problem.
I mean, Turbo Fog is definitely a new angle I've not heard so far. So that excites me greatly.
I legitimately feel like I'm actually trying to do a group hug where I'm winning by actually just having everyone draw their cards and like nothing else. I don't have any like stacks pieces or anything like that. Like I want them to stop me doing this.
Yeah, so it's not Turbo Fog. It's on the other side. It's on the group hug side of the branch. Like they all are going to fall on one side of that. And then like that's kind of it. I don't know. It's just
isn't that a pretty wide span for a commander? Like some commanders only have one deck.
Yeah, and I like those even less. I don't know what to tell you.
This is completely off topic. Well, it's somewhat on topic, but like I gotta ask, do you run Spike Weaver in the Miss Bumbleflower Turbo Fog deck?
No, that's not group hug. That's mean.
It's beautiful. I love it.
I see, like it has a fog. So this is the problem I have with it too, is that when there's a fog on the board and everyone sees it, then just no one attacks you, and that's not interesting. It's the same reason I don't put constant miss in, is the minute people just know I have constant miss in my hand, they're just going to stop attacking me. So instead, like I want people to know or to not know whether I do or don't have a fog. And that way it keeps it interesting. And I guess that's what I mean is like, that's like my Melvin brain where I'm like thinking like, hey, how are people going to feel at the table when they're playing against this? Because that's the only way I can maintain interest in playing this at this point. Like I'm not enough of a Spike player where I don't really want to go and play a bunch of EDH or anything like that, but I still want to play with all my friends. But all my friends are, for the most part, I play with a play group that they're fine with just playing like some simple decks that you build up a big army and you swing at each other. And like, that's fine, but that's not what I like to do. Like, I don't find that play style for myself personally very satisfying. So instead, I kind of have to find other ways of being able to contribute at the table, but still feel like I'm doing something that I'm enjoying or having fun with.
I think that's an interesting thing about Commander is that for the first while, you're probably optimizing, you're probably trying to build, the best deck you can. But after a while, you have to start looking for your commander joy in other places. And a lot of times that might just be learning to really enjoy playing a card in a particular situation, enjoying the fog. I enjoy a good astral slide turn, just learning to take joy in kind of the process of playing a game and doing a particular action you really like.
Yeah, for me, it's fogs.
Would you guys like to imbibe a hot take from the MTG fandom page for player types?
Yeah, absolutely.
Turgid players are
Timmies. How did you say imbibe?
Turgid players are Timmies? That's funny. I like that one a lot. No, it's true though. Wait, no,
but that is true. That is true. No, that's facts. That's facts.
They're just playing your big thing.
Well, no, wait. This is saying Timmies are griefers?
No.
A subgroup of Timmies is griefers.
That's not true. That's no, that's not it.
I don't know.
So I guess here's the thing: is that player archetypes traditionally are mapped. If we look at like OG game design player archetypes, there's something called Bartle's taxonomy, and that's like developed from back in the day from MUDs. And griefers are also known as like assassin archetypes from that. And so you'd have like achievers, assassins, socializers, and explorers. But those are very explicitly what players do. That's like the actions that players do. And what Magic did, what Mark Rosewater did when he brought in Timmy, Johnny, Spike, etc., is instead of saying what players are doing, it's what are they enjoying, basically. Like, how are they feeling as they're experiencing these things? And so Timmy's like big bombastic stuff, right? Like they like that excitement. They like the big cards, high mana cost, big power. Like griefing could be a subsection of any of these archetypes technically, but the way that Timmy's grief versus the way that Spike's grief versus the way that whoever else griefs is going to be a lot different, right? I could be a Melvin griefer because I want to play Turgid in a very specific way. But it's not going to be the same way that a Timmy's going to want to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just like when I think of like a Timmy griefer, it's mostly like I'm going to cast Warp World as many times as possible this game. Or like I'm going to cast like whatever.
Yeah, like pure chaos without a win con.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate that.
Like that's what I think of when I think of Timmy griefer is like I'm going to cast this big stupid sorcery that everyone hates and I'm going to do it as many times as possible.
I'd like
just
you to
ruin
know,
your life.
I'm literally building like not a chaos deck. It's not meaning to be, but it does use the Ian Malcolm like chaotician Jurassic Park card or whatever. And I saw Warp World and I was like, no, that's not going in this. That's a really unfun card. I don't want to subject anyone to that.
It's up there with like divine intervention for me when it comes to cards. It's like the moment this is on the stack, I want to leave.
What are you talking? Oh, wait, divine intervention literally only does one thing.
Yeah,
Warp
it draws the game.
Okay, yeah, no, but Warp World you can like build a deck around. I built that Roxanne deck that plays Warp World. It makes so many permanents that when I cast Warp World, I'm gonna have just more crap on the board than everybody, and I can win from that. You can use it as a win condition.
Oh yeah, no. I've built a deck before with the good version of this effect, which is Glimpse of Tomorrow, because it's not symmetrical and therefore not annoying. Like Glimpse of Tomorrow Cascade into it is really funny, and you can do that in Modern too. It's a really fun Modern deck.
It's like hard to like set up though in Commander to like actually cascade into it.
Yeah, you have to cascade into it or like do some weird electro dominance stuff. But I don't know. The reason why I don't like Warp World so much is just like, well, just flip my playmat over. I don't know. Like, especially
you can say the same about like Insurrection. I don't know. Insurrection is like
Insurrection ends the game. Warp World, I have to sit there with my 3 permanents after I flip.
Too. Just go like I have 5 permanents. Game's over. Like you can shuffle it up, do it, and then go like, well, I guess I lose, and then you lose. Like the game's over. In
Maybe
10
I'm
seconds.
part of the problem because if I ever put Warp World in a deck, it wouldn't be to end the game. So.
Okay, well.
No, that's my problem too. I've started building these awful torture chamber decks that just like put my friends in hell.
Dude, I just made one for my friends on their channel Guild Packs. We did like a Secret Santa thing. I think it's coming out next week. I'm so excited. I made, I think, probably the most annoying deck to ever play. It's got like every worst mechanic. It's got like day night. It's got the ring tempts you. It's got the initiative, enter to the dungeon.
Oh, you have like 15 tracker cards on your side of the board.
And every single card you play does some new mechanic and triggers some new thing. It's atrocious. I love it.
Making the board stay as disgusting as possible.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch someone else play it.
Oh,
A friend
of course,
of mine tried to make a deck that just put as many keywords as possible on creatures to make the board state an absolute unreadable hellscape. That's one goal.
Oh wait, I made a deck that turns the game into Uno.
Into Uno.
Yeah. I'm not going to explain the whole thing here because it's like it's very. I made a whole video about it. You should watch that if you want to see what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, it turns the game into Uno. It's like a 68 card combo, 69 card. I think it might be a 69
card combo.
Yeah, I can post the list here for you. Honestly, you should just watch my video on it because I don't remember how to explain it, but there's a primer.
Oh my god! I hope there's a primer for a 69 card combo.
Yeah. It's a mess. Also, the deck is built a specific way because I couldn't play Panoptic Mirror, but that got unbanned. So it actually could use an update.
Oh, it's only a 68 card combo now.
Anyway, at the end of all of this, just make sure your deck's like appropriately power leveled and everyone is having fun. Hooray!
But have you considered, this is my bracket 1 theme deck. The theme is killing all of your creatures.
There you go. That's a good theme.
This is a really good derail, Alex. I gotta hand it to you, but we got some questions we gotta answer.
See, I thought so too.
That was really good.
All right, moving on to the Beseech the Mirror section. This is where you beseech us for answers. All you got to do is put mirror in your comment, and we'll get to it on the podcast. You can put it on Spotify. You can put the comment on YouTube. You can @ us. Socials are linked below. This user, Vuo I don't know, asks, mirror, I burnt a pizza and throw it at my opponent to ask, what if you're forced to cook up an entirely new deck and you can't find solid resources for it? So what happens when you try and make a deck that's maybe very unique, very different, and you can't find other lists or cards that are similar to that? What do you do?
Get good.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So the question is, what do you do if you're trying to build a deck and you can't find inspiration to like
you don't know how to make it work, basically, because
you don't know how to make it work, but it's a unique idea, so you're struggling to find like references.
I would really highly recommend just learning Scryfall syntax because you're not going to get saved by EDH rec if you have like a very unique trailblazery kind of deck. You need to figure out how magic cards are worded and then like go Oracle text : like cards that say whenever an artifact gets put into a graveyard from anywhere or like whatever, like that's what you need to learn is Scryfall syntax. It is such a valuable tool when you're just like going off into this, tying it into the episode topic, going off into this like Melvin corner of deck building, right?
Yeah. I feel like also if you don't really have like that solid of a starting point, like you got to figure out what you're looking for in general. Like obviously you have some sort of an overarching idea and maybe it's too vague because we don't know exactly what the like deck is that they're building. But then if you don't have something to start with, you won't know what to start looking up. Right? Like using the deck that I was just talking about as an example earlier, like the deck I made for my friend that's awful with day, night and all that is like that goal was just to make like the most complicated, hard to track trigger deck I could find. And so that's when like I saw day, night and that got me Googling into like, okay, well, what are these other like annoying mechanics? So then I just pull up all the most annoying mechanics. And then you continue to kind of like extrapolate and like explore. And then eventually, once you have a giant pile of stuff, you can start to like condense it and find it from there.
I feel like public forums are another good place as well. Just like, hey, magic forum full of nerds.
Dude, Reddit, magic Reddit of people. Like I'll just Google like what cards have done this, like what card has done this before MTG. And I'll find some Reddit forum from like 5 years ago of people giving tons of examples of it. And I'm like, this is perfect.
For your difficult to track deck, I just thought of an idea for that. I don't know if you finished it yet.
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, so like +1/+1 counters and -1/-1 counters cancel out. Like they remove themselves from the card. All other counters don't do that. So the +2/+2 counters and the -2/-2 counters don't cancel out. You have to leave them both on the card. And then if you add things that care about number of counters on things, like that one that like eats all the counters off things, you have to track each of those.
Oh God.
I hope you had a couple of graveyard order cards in there.
No, actually, so that's something that Gavin had suggested. He mentioned graveyard order. The problem is that it was either that half of them were May, so you could miss the trigger. And I had to make sure that there was as little Mays as possible so that you could not miss a trigger.
You built a personal judge tower.
And what's fun, we definitely missed triggers by the end of playing.
Oh, you must have forgotten Phyrexian Furnace, the most annoying card.
I don't think I have that.
It's 1 mana for an artifact. You can pay 1, exile a card from a graveyard, draw a card if you sack it, or it taps to exile the bottom card of target player's graveyard, which means everyone's graveyard order now matters for you having this in your deck.
Oh, so the other problem with that is that you can just ignore that. And so like if you played that artifact, right, one, it could just sit in your hand, because the problem with this deck is literally I wanted it to be where you had to play cards from your hand because that's the only way you could continue to like move forward in the game. But there could be things that you just don't have to engage with. But if that's the thing, then like you don't have to focus on those triggers, right? So instead, my friend, she could have just played that and then like not bothered to ever use it. It's similar to the other graveyard order cards. But I do love that the graveyard order stuff. I think is hilarious because I think it's super annoying. If that were like what you had to rely on for the whole win condition of the deck, I think it would have been perfect.
As a final point, relating back to the question of kind of how do you find cards, usually somebody will have done what you've done. It might be a very, very small number of people, but if you use EDH Rex filters, that can be a way to find that very small number of people. Like recently, I was looking semi-seriously, probably not going to build this deck, but it was a Norman Osborn Throne of the Grim Captain discard deck. There are 3 whole decks out of 9,000 Norman Osborn decks with Throne of the Grim Captain in them. And I can look at those and I can see what's in them, what they were doing. And that is at least a starting point.
Yeah. I was also going to suggest that, and you stole my answer. So I'm going to say you can also, this isn't an efficient way to do this, but you know what you can do? You can go to some weird old set, go to Scryfall, put in alliances, just scroll around. And you know what? You might find some jank card that fits your deck perfectly, or some other fun things. And you kind of put these in like a big list of like useful, neat cards to use. And you can reference that list that you've created of interesting cards to help you out later down the road with other deck building projects.
Yeah. Something else I also really like doing with EDH Rec is I like looking at similar cards. They'll offer like suggestions of cards. So a lot of the times I'll pull up a card where I'm like, oh, that's like not quite right for what I'm doing. Or this card is exactly right. And I need to find like more examples of that. And so going down a whole rabbit hole of like clicking like here's similar cards to this card, similar cards to this card, and like keep going deeper until you get to some weird obscure stuff that you might not have seen before.
Samuel Kilnuin 3 numbers asks, Mirror, mirror, I pay all my life to a toxic deluge to ask, if all of you played a Commander game together right now, what decks from the ones you currently play would you bring? So if we were to start a pod right now, what are you busting out?
My fog deck.
Ooh.
Is that your fog deck?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm bringing Kellen Daring Traveler. I love that deck so much. And like you're a play group that wouldn't strangle me for melding Brazilla.
I think we beat you up last time I saw you play that deck.
Oh no, Paco Halden. We were playing with Tomer and Paco Halden ripped my head off, but
yeah.
You know, variants, something like that.
My answer is probably look around the table while reaching for my Shroom deck, see there are too many control decks already, and then switch to like, I don't know, my Malphagor, my Rata deck.
Wait. Okay, wait. If we're all recreating this, then I will also slowly look around the room and see people's decks that they're choosing.
I'm putting Ishai Tevish on the table. I don't care what you guys are doing.
Is that your like bracket 2 control deck?
This is my bracket 3 control deck. That's the unspeakable one.
Oh yeah, the unspeakable.
I love that deck. Oh wait, Forrest, do you skip the ending of our podcast, or do you know how we end it?
I don't know how you guys end this.